Hey guys, Tom here from the Investing with Tom YouTube channel. Welcome back to the channel. If you enjoyed today's video, hit like, hit subscribe, and that way you can see future videos as well. So this is going to be 2019 year in review in terms of looking at some of the goals I set for myself personally last year, seeing how I got on, and then setting some goals again for 2020. And that way you guys can keep me accountable for how I get on when we revisit things this time next year. So let's get into that. First off, I just want to give you a quick intro to my thinking around kind of goal setting in general. Then we'll dive in, we'll see how I got on, and we'll set some goals going into next year as well. Also keen to hear of any goals you guys have, and as well as potentially some book suggestions you've got for me as well, because one of my goals for going into next year is to read a heap of different books, new books. So if you've got any suggestions once we get to that one, definitely drop them in the comments below. But for now, let's get into it. All right, let's get into it. So first off, just a couple things on goals in general. I'm very big on goals, and I set them basically every year for a few different kind of aspects of my life. For this one, we're obviously going to be talking about some financial and investing goals, as well as actually some with this YouTube channel as well. But before we get into that, basically I've got two main rules when it comes to goal setting. The first one is they have to be quantifiable, so you have to be able to actually put a number on them. So if it comes to finances, that fortunately is usually quite straightforward because we can put dollar amounts on things. And they have to be achievable. So they have to be something that is purely in your control. There may be some other sort of outside influences and that sort of thing, but largely things that are in your control and things that you can achieve if you put your mind to it. So, you know, something that's not in my control at all is if I wanted to win lotto, for example. I can go out and buy a whole bunch of lotto tickets, but really it's purely luck whether I win or not. Whereas if I set a goal that I want to save $1,000 this month, that is something that is purely under my control and something that I can put a number on. So those are the types of goals that I like to set. I like to keep them achievable and something that I can potentially go, over and above on with all things going well as well. So that's a couple of things on goals. For now, let's get into the goals that I set right around this time last year. We'll see how I've gotten on, and I've got some questions for you guys as we get further into it as well. So here we go. Okay, so the first goal I had was actually to do with this YouTube channel. So this time last year, so about December 2018, I just started the YouTube channel. We probably had like 20 subscribers at the most. I think it might have been less than that even at this time. And I'd released a few videos. They were pretty terrible. Please don't go back and watch them. But that's kind of where we're at with the YouTube channel. And I wanted to set a goal around the YouTube channel. I really was interested in putting together investment related content and a lot of ways to kind of further kind of think through some of my own ideas. And I think there's no better way to make sure that you understand something than to get up in front of a camera or in front of other people and talk to those people about it. You find out pretty quickly if you make any sense when you start to do that kind of stuff. So it was a little bit of a selfish goal in a lot of ways to set the goal that I did, which was basically to record 52 YouTube videos for 2019. We've gone well above and beyond that now. The video has about, the channel, I think this is going to be video, and I'll just have a quick look. This is actually going to be video number 79 for 2019. So if you look at the channel in total, I think this will be video 91. A few were released in 2018, but this will be video 79 for 2019. So we've gone well above and beyond that, and that is the first goal ticked off. When it came to YouTube, I wanted to set a goal that's something purely in my control. So I could have set, I want to reach 1,000 subscribers, or I want to do something like that. In a lot of ways that's in my control, but in many ways it's out of my control. It's just how well the world perceives this content and all that sort of thing. So I wanted to do something that was purely in my control. So I set a goal of releasing 52 YouTube videos, and we ticked it off. So that was the first goal for 2019. Let's get into goal number 2. All right, so goal number 2 that I set for 2019 was to have X dollars in my investment account, and I'm not going to give you that exact figure, but what I can tell you is, assuming that there was no change in market prices in the stocks that I already had in the portfolio, it was going to require me to save in the low sort of 40% range of my income for the year. That was basically what I was going to have to do to get there, assuming that the stock market and the stocks that I own didn't go down or didn't go up throughout the year. So that's kind of the way I thought through it. Again, I wanted to have something that is as in my control as possible, so that's the way I approached it. And again, not going to tell you the dollar figures, but we did get there. We had some assistance from the stock market going up. It's been quite a good year in the stock market. I've added a couple of new positions, which we'll talk about shortly. And overall, it's performed quite well. So we had some gains there. I did also reach the saving targets, and I also actually had some additional income sort of come in throughout the year that I didn't originally budget on. So overall, it's been a really good one, and it looks like I'll exceed that sort of savings goal by about $8,000, which for me personally, only 3 years into the workforce and 25 years old now, is quite a significant margin for myself personally. So I'm pretty happy with that, and it's another one we've ticked off. So that was goal number 2. Let's get into what goal number 3 was for the year. So goal number 3 was actually also investing related, and this was to find 1 to 2 what I call unreasonable investments for the year. So Warren Buffett has this analogy where he says that investors on the whole would be doing a lot better over their investment career if they were given a punch card with 20 punches in it, and anytime they invested in a new company, they had to punch a hole in that card, and then they only had 19 investments left on that 20-hole punch card. And that's the way I kind of like to think about things as well. So I set the goal to only find 1 or 2 investment ideas for the year, and I wanted to be unreasonable with my investment selection. So I didn't want to invest in something that was going to give me a 6% a year return or a 10% a year return. I wanted to invest in something that had very, very strong prospects. In other words, it had good tailwinds in the industry that company was in. It was extremely cheap. It was a dollar of value trading for 50 cents, as I often talk about, and we managed to find 2 of them. So again, over the moon with that. They didn't come until relatively late in the year. So I made an investment in December 2018, which I still hold today. And I didn't make another investment till I think it was around August 2019. So there was about 8 or 9 months, something like that, where I was, constantly in researching and looking into investments, and I didn't put a single new dollar to work. So that was a reasonably long period of time, again, especially when you've only been investing sort of 3 or 4 years as I have now. So we managed to tick that one off. Basically, I'm going to set pretty much the same goal for next year, is to find 1 to 2 unreasonable 50-cent dollar type investments, but again, we'll get to that shortly. So that was another one ticked off. Don't want to blow my own trumpet, but we're doing pretty well so far. And that only really left one other goal for 2019, which was to do with this bookshelf and reading. So up until really 2018, I hadn't been a very big reader at all. I read a reasonable amount at high school. I read basically nothing that I didn't have to out at university. And now I'm trying to read quite a lot. So I set the goal for this year of reading 12 books, so 1 per month essentially. And we've ticked that one off as well. So we've recently, so far, if I just look at my notes here, so far we've actually read 14 books. I'm in the process of reading number 15 and 16 as well, which hopefully I can tick off. I'll at least tick one of those off before the end of the year. One of them is this one, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and the other one isn't actually a book, but I'm sort of adding it to the list, and that is actually Warren Buffett's Investment Letters to Shareholders. So he's been writing letters since his original partnership in the 50s right through to 2019. and I'm up to, I think, the mid-80s at the moment. So I'm trying to crank my way through that. The letters seem to be getting longer and longer with each year, but they're a very, very good resource, and I'm working my way through that. So those are all the goals that I had for 2019. I had some powerlifting goals and non-related goals that I actually haven't hit this year. But in terms of finances and YouTube and all that kind of stuff, I'm very, very happy with how we've done. So that's 2019. Let's get into setting some goals for 2020. And there's one of these that I'm actually going to really need your help with. So let's get into that. All right, so 2020 goals. I'm going to race through a couple of these because some are actually very similar to 2019, and we're sort of copy-pasting them for 2020, but just pushing them up a little bit. And the first one is, again, YouTube related, and to release X number of videos. So last year we set the goal of releasing 52 YouTube videos. We've smashed that out of the park. For 2020, I want to release 80 YouTube videos. So that's going to be roughly 3 videos every 2 weeks, about 1.5 videos a week. So that's the goal. We're going to set that as it is. Whatever we end up hitting with views and subscribers and all that sort of thing, we'll see what happens. I'm going to do my best to make them valuable videos, but that's the goal I'm setting. So I actually will probably hit that target this year. We'll get close or even over and above 80 videos this year. But I want to set that as a baseline again for next year and hopefully surpass it again when we revisit these in 12 months. So that's the first one. The second one is also YouTube related. So I am probably going to get monetized on YouTube very soon, and I want to set the goal to make $3,000 in 2020 from YouTube ad revenue. So that one is what it is. Not too much more to say on that one really, other than I hope we can get there if if I keep putting in the work and putting out those 80 YouTube videos as the plan is for next year. So the next one, I've set a savings goal again for next year. It's a reasonably significant increase. It's going to be about a 25 or 30%, actually closer to a 30% increase on the amount of dollars that I saved in 2019 is what I want to do in 2020. And this one's probably going to be the most challenging of the bunch. So this is probably going to come largely from an increase in income that I'm going to have to go for more than anything. So I already live reasonably frugally, and I don't think there's a huge amount of room to drive expenses down too much more. So it's going to come from really increasing my income through things like YouTube, but also in my everyday job and trying to crank things up there. So again, that one is what it is, but that's the goal I have set for 2020. So that's that one. Next one is I again want to find 1 to 2 investment ideas. So using the same criteria as I did in 2019, being very unreasonable, something that I'm willing to put a reasonable percentage of my net worth into, and something that I'm quite confident is going to generate good returns with relatively low risk as well. So 1 to 2 investment ideas. This is the next one is the one I really need your help on. So I'm going to crank up my reading goal from 12 books a year to 15 books for 2020. And on my bookshelf, in terms of things I've still got to read that are on there, the supply is getting pretty low. So I'm very interested to have any book suggestions you've got for me. Drop down in the comments below. But that's the goal, is 15 books. And the final goal that I've got for the year is to catch a 10-pound snapper. So for most of this year, I have not taken much sort of leave from my job, and I've been cranking along as much as I can. So I'm going to take a reasonable sort of summer break. You'll still see videos as much as I can do, but I am planning to take a reasonable size summer break. And I'll put up a photo here of my first 20-pound snapper. That is this fish for the non-New Zealand viewers out there. Caught my first 20-pound snapper next summer. I don't know if we'll get a repeat of that. I fingers crossed, I hope we'll get plenty of them. But I'm setting the goal for a 10-pound snapper for this summer as well. So not really personal finance or anything related, but something I would love to do again. But those are my goals for 2020, and that's a review of 2019. So I hope you really enjoyed the video. If you've got any goals that you'd like to share, drop them down in the comments below. And like I say, if you've got any books book suggestions for me, ideally investment or personal finance related, but happy to venture elsewhere as well. Drop them down below, let me know, love to hear your ideas. So if you enjoyed the video, hit like, hit subscribe. You can subscribe over here, I think it is, if you haven't done so already, or you can watch some older videos over there, but that's all from me, so have a great day. Cheers.